Why you wouldn't survive as a samurai during the Sengoku era. Imagine waking up before dawn in a simple wooden house with a cold chill penetrating the thin walls. This is your life as a samurai during Japan's Sengoku period, a brutal era spanning nearly 150 years of constant warfare and political upheaval. Life expectancy was low, battles frequent, and danger omnipresent. Your day begins long before sunrise, training relentlessly with sword, spear, and bow. The air is crisp, and frost covers the training grounds. Mist rises slowly as you and your fellow samurai practice precise movements repeatedly, mastering techniques passed down through generations. Being a samurai wasn't simply about wielding a sword. It was a commitment to an uncompromising way of life, Bushido, or the way of the warrior. While later codified formally during the Edo period, Sengoku-era samurai followed pragmatic and flexible principles, emphasizing loyalty, courage, discipline, and a willingness to die at a moment's notice. Violations of these deeply held values often led to shame, exile, or forced ritual suicide, seppuku. Your armor and weapons are not just tools, they are extensions of yourself, meticulously cared for each day. Armor was designed to protect against arrows, swords, and eventually firearms. However, it was heavy, restrictive, and uncomfortable, often weighing over 30 kilograms. Imagine marching miles to battlefields, traversing mountains and rivers, burdened by such cumbersome gear. Battle could erupt at any moment, often unexpected. During the Sengoku period, feudal lords known as daimyo were constantly battling for land, power, and influence. Samurai served these daimyo loyally, and battles were brutal, chaotic affairs with high casualties. Strategies like nighttime raids and ambushes were common, leaving little room for error or hesitation. If you were wounded in battle, and survival was uncertain, medical treatment was crude by modern standards. Samurai medics had limited knowledge of infections and relied heavily on traditional herbal remedies and primitive surgical methods. Diseases such as dysentery, smallpox, and influenza were rampant, and even minor injuries could quickly become fatal due to infections or complications. Away from battle, your life wasn't much easier. You had obligations to your lord, including managing local administration and suppressing peasant rebellions. Peasants often faced harsh living conditions, oppressive taxation, and frequent food shortages, leading to revolts you were required to quell brutally. The Sengoku period also brought severe economic strain. Samurai stipends, often paid in rice, were not always reliable due to continuous warfare disrupting harvests. Many samurai fell into debt, selling or pawning their valuable armor and weapons just to survive. Even when not at war, your position was precarious. Rival samurai clans frequently engaged in political intrigue, assassinations, and betrayal. A trusted ally one day could become your assassin the next. Vigilance and distrust became daily companions. Food and diet were basic and monotonous, mainly consisting of rice, miso soup, pickled vegetables, and occasionally fish. Meat was rare, consumed sparingly, and often associated with barbarism. Malnutrition and dietary deficiencies were common, with many samurai suffering from conditions like beriberi due to a lack of vitamin B1, or scurvy during prolonged campaigns with limited fresh produce. These health issues were exacerbated during long campaigns or harsh winters, where food supplies were limited and often spoiled. During harsh winters, survival itself was a daily challenge. Traditional homes had minimal insulation, and heating relied on open fires or braziers. Heavy snowfall, freezing temperatures, and inadequate clothing made winters particularly brutal. You would train and patrol even in these harsh conditions, risking frostbite or hypothermia. The psychological toll was immense. The constant threat of death, severe societal expectations, and the brutal violence of warfare weighed heavily on mental health. Many samurai experienced intense stress, recurring nightmares, and depressive episodes, what we might now recognize as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. These symptoms often manifested as insomnia, emotional numbness, and even psychosomatic illnesses, yet were rarely acknowledged or treated in their time. Family life offered little solace. Samurai families lived under strict hierarchical structures, and children were expected to uphold the rigid social expectations of their lineage. Boys began martial training young, while girls faced stringent standards for marriage alliances and household management. Personal desires were secondary to familial duty and honor. Despite these hardships, samurai culture profoundly influenced Japan. Their ethos of discipline, loyalty, and martial valor shaped Japanese society and inspired generations. However, the harsh realities of their lives remind us that being a samurai was far from glamorous. It was survival against incredible odds. So while modern portrayals romanticize samurai as invincible heroes, the truth is stark. Given the relentless physical demands, constant danger, inadequate medical care, and overwhelming psychological pressures, most of us today would not survive long as a samurai in Sengoku-era Japan. Could you truly survive the relentless brutality and severe expectations of being a samurai? It is a question history compels us to ask, revealing the sobering truth behind Japan's legendary warriors.